This is the instruction video about using the TurfTick Universal Stacker. We start by disassembling the two transport bolts. On the other side, there is also one. Dismantle the pin of the pallet changer. Then we start to determine the speed. The tractor should drive around 1.8 kilometers per hour, and the PTO should have a speed between 400 and 550 rotations per minute. We control this with the hand throttle. Then we turn on the PTO. Then we start up the machine by switching on the main switch. Then we switch on the pallet injector. It will now move. After we roughly adjust the depth control, we start by loosening the nuts and turn the lever down. Then we tighten the nuts again. Then we are going to fine-tune the depth. When you turn the bottom clockwise, the turf becomes thicker. When you turn the button counterclockwise, the turf becomes thinner. Then we turn on the gripper teeth. We do that by pressing the up arrow twice in the start screen. We choose Option 3, Settings. Then we go to Option 1, Gripper Teeth Settings. Now you see that the gripper teeth are inactive. By pressing 1, they become active. Then press Enter at right below, 2 times Escape at top right, and 2 times number 1 for start screen. Now we start with the explanation of the start screen. In the start screen, you now see the number of rolls on the collector. Below is the status of the collector. Below is the status of the gripper grab. Below is the status of the pallet injector. And then the status of the waste bin. Below left, we see which pallet is active. In this case, the Euro pallet with 51 rolls. Besides, you can see how many rolls are on the pallet. Finally, the oil temperature. Then we see the stacking image of the grass rolls and on which layer they are working. It is important that the status of the collector, the stacking pattern, and the number of layers correspond with the actual situation. How can you adjust this? The 4 buttons F6, F7, F8, and F9 below are for the collector. Here is an example. I press F9 and you see on the screen that a roll is added. If I don't want to have this roll, I press F9 again, and you will see a cross in it. In this case, the gripper doesn't pick it up, and the roll falls off of the back of the collector. If we don't want the second roll, we press F7 again, and you see another cross. The gripper doesn't pick it up. If you want to have it again, press F7 again, and the gripper will pick it up. Then we go to the buttons on the side. F1 is for 1 step further, the correction of the stacking pattern. F2 is 1 step back from the correction of the stacking pattern. F3, then the collector turns 5 positions further and is empty. F4 is to empty the front bin. A buzzer indicates that it is extended. Press F4 again and the bin will come back in. And F5 is to simulate that an extra roll falls. If we want to select a different stacking pattern, we press the up arrow once and enter the stacking menu. At number 2 is pallet type. Press number 2. Then we can choose out of the 6 already programmed patterns. As an example, we select a pallet 120 by 120 with 60 rolls and press number 6. We see that our choice is at the top. Press arrow up, escape for the stacking menu, and then number 1 for going back to the start screen. You now see our choice 120 by 120 with 60 rolls at the bottom. This pattern is now active. On the screen, we now also see another stacking pattern. Now we show what the next handles and buttons in the cabin are for. When we move the right handle forward, the cutting machine goes down. If you move the right handle backward, the cutting machine goes up. If you move the handle next to it forward, the steering shoe goes down. If you move it backward, the shoe goes up. Then we turn on the conveyor and the knife with the switches. Here you see a blue crane for controlling the speed of the brush. If we turn this crane clockwise, the brush will rotate slower. If we turn this crane to the left, the brush will rotate quicker. The speed of the conveyor is controlled with the crane conveyor behind the seat in the tractor. If we turn it to the left, the conveyor will turn slower. If we turn clockwise, the conveyor will turn faster. Keep about 10 centimeters between the sods. We operate the flap of the turf with the crane behind the seat in the tractor. If we turn it anti-clockwise, the flap gets longer. If we turn it clockwise, the flap shortens. Here you can see how the right roll of turf should look like. It is now important to measure the length of the roll. If this is not correct and you want to correct it, you can do this in the following way. When you have a machine with mechanical chop-off, we change the sprockets ratio. We do this by placing a sprockets with other amount of teeth. If you have a machine with an electric chop-off, we change this on the screen. Here you see the chosen value for the length of the roll, and below that, you see the distance that the machine still has to cut before it chops off the roll. When we want to change the length of the roll, we press the up arrow to go to the menu. Press 4, Length of Roll. Then we see here right above the chosen value, and just below that, one impulse is 3.3 centimeters. If we press 2, the roll becomes 3.3 centimeters longer. If we press 1, the roll will be 3.3 centimeters shorter. This is how you determine the correct length. Press Escape arrow up, then 1. That brings us back to the home screen. Here you see a short explanation of the use of the machine. Note: if a roll is rejected, press the white button on the terminal. It will end up in the front bin.